safe as well. So I have a backup. And then here goes your intro.
Everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And if you want to get your money's worth, stay right here because you're listening to Knockouts at 3 Counts. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
This is Don West here, and I'm telling you, Knockouts at 3 Counts is the podcast, baby. Make sure that's the one you check out, because, buddy, like me, they're the real deal, baby.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts. Just letting you know, you need to listen to Knockouts at 3 Counts, or you see that damn snake again.
This is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy. And you're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
What up, though, everybody? This is Kyle, and you are listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts. And as we told you, we've got a very special guest with us tonight. Before we get to him real quick, Devin, why don't you throw out your social media, let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at All Steak No Sizzle. One word. Make sure you check out the Reality Era News group on Facebook where we talk all kinds of wrestling. The big topic right now is basically everybody from WWE is getting fired right now. We'll probably talk a little bit about that later on today. But that's where you can find me. What about you, sir?
You can find me at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit NOKOUT. Make sure you follow the show at KO3C Pod, all of our social medias. If you're watching this, you probably already do, but make sure you're subscribed on YouTube too. We can find us everywhere. And without any further ado, we've got the return of the homie, El Rudo de las Chicas, Sam Adonis. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your boring tape study, podcast listening, whatever it is you're doing to get through this quarantine schedule to talk to me about some wrestling and some happenings and just shoot the shiznits, if you will, for a little bit.
Hey, man, it's always a good time. Like I said, I know we've got plenty to cover with all this quarantine stuff, brother, man. Let them know where they can find you on all your social media.
I am Real Sam Adonis on Instagram and Twitter. That's basically all I have to work with at this point. I'm basically 35 years behind the times. I'm terrible at social media. I don't like it. It's just, it is what it is. It's a crucial tool. If I knew how to use it, I'd probably be the most famous man in pro wrestling at this point. But I don't play. I don't play along. I don't play well with others. I don't, play the game. So, yeah. I've always wanted to be a wrestler in 1982, not 2020. So I guess it's costing me one way or the other.
Shit. Well, at least we know at the very least, we know that even though you don't like people, you like us from Knockouts and 3 Counts. So there's a plus there.
Well, I've always had fun with you guys. And it actually kind of bums me out because as far as I know that this year's Ooh La La Lucha has been canceled or postponed, which is my yearly Detroit visit. So I can't imagine in the next 3 weeks we're going to hurry and make something happen for our Cinco de Mayo weekend. So I guess if I can't see you in person, the next best thing is the Knockouts and 3 Counts podcast in person, live, stream, Twitch, video, personification, message board, whatever it is.
He's pretty much covered all of them. So as everybody knows, man, we're going through the shitstorm with this whole coronavirus. So what have you been doing to pass the time here since all this coronavirus?
Believe it or not, I'm busier now than I've ever been in my entire life because I pride myself on being a bit of a hustler. And when I realized most wrestling events were canceled, I heard the radio ad for Amazon is hiring drivers, and I made a phone call. And once about 4 of my bookings got canceled and I realized next month could be kind of difficult, I started delivering packages, delivering smiles, if you will. And I've been driving for Amazon, which absolutely sucks. It's I guess it is what it is. Working for a company like that, they take care of you. But I've been lucky enough for the last 8 years of my life to be traveling the world as a internationally renowned megastar pro wrestler in some corners of the world. And now to have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go deliver packages and, dodge dog shit. It is what it is.
So here's the question. Do they got you delivering in your own car, or are you driving a ProMaster?
I drive a ProMaster, man. I'm driving the Amazon van. I got the uniform on. I actually decided that maybe when I come back, there was Nails, which was a convict. Big Boss Man was a prison guard. I think
Sam Adonis, the Amazon driver.
The Amazon Prime piece of ass.
So did they send you to train? So did they send you to training for all that? Because when I learned how to drive the ProMaster for the post office, you had to be able to drive that. You had to be able to drive the LLV, the FFV, all that shit. So you had to go through like a whole driver's training thing. Did they make you guys do that too?
I did two days of training class, and then I was on the road. So I just I don't know. It's not for me. If anything, it's humbling. It makes you really appreciate what you have. It makes you really miss wrestling. But especially right now, I'm at the point where I'm just losing my mind. I watch wrestling constantly right now. And, I don't know if you remember talking in the past, but I'm a big fan of the history. I only really watch old stuff. And I've been catching up on everything. I've been listening to these podcasts and just hearing history, and I miss it more than ever. So luckily there's a Bluetooth in the van, and I can keep myself entertained for the 8 or 10 hours I'm behind the wheel.
Hey man, when I was out there, I had headphones on all the time. I know they told you not to, but I'd be listening to podcasts and every other fucking thing, because man, even though it's cool to be out there on a route like by yourself, that shit low key gets boring.
Dude, I have my radio cranked up to 11 all the time, and it's so loud that I make sure I leave my door open when I'm delivering a package, and I can hear whatever I'm listening to. So luckily, I've got it figured out. And honestly, like if I lost a job tomorrow, I would just figure something else out. It's not like I hold this too dearly, but I do have to hustle and make some money somehow. But, I've been able to make the most of it and just, listen and learn some knowledge along the way.
So, Dev, what do you got? I've been flapping my gums for a minute.
Well, you actually kind of touched on something I was going to ask you anyway. But you mentioned that you may come back as the Amazon piece of ass, right? So,
you never know, man. It depends. I mean, it depends on what kind of viral marketing scam we can get. I run a wrestling company now, and I'm always looking for new sponsors. So if Amazon wants to throw me a couple $100K towards my wrestling company, then maybe I'll be the Amazon driver and do the job every once in a while.
Well, the question I was going to ask you is that this isn't really a political show. We don't really talk a lot of politics, but you're known for your pro-Trump gimmick, man. So with this being an election year, it's kind of up in the air. You might have 4 more years of Trump, or you might have to find something else to do. So my question to you is, which one would you be looking more forward to, doing the Trump thing for 4 more years, or would you embrace a change and look for something else to do, like the Amazon guy?
Honestly, I haven't done the Trump gimmick in about 2 years.
Really?
I do it on Mexican shows. I work a lot of New York, LA, Texas lucha shows. That's the only time you see it. So I guess maybe 1 out of 8 or 9 bookings is that. And I assume maybe that makes it relevant enough. In my opinion, it's the smallest percentage. But, of course, there are people that only see that. Again, when you're pulling people's strings, if they only remember the bad side of you, maybe it's more relevant than I realize. But honestly, I've been really lucky in creating opportunities all over the world. And I wanted to make sure that that's not what defined me. I don't ever want people to say, oh, he only got over because he did a political gimmick. It was such a small portion. I lost my hair to Negro Casas in Mexico City. And then, I've worked 3 tours in Japan without the gimmick. I work all over the United States without the gimmick. And honestly, believe it or not, in most places I've been in the last year, I'm actually kind of teetering more babyface than heel.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
The last time we saw you was at Ula La Lucha. It was last year. And we saw you there doing the Trump thing.
You most certainly were not a babyface there.
Not at all. Not at all.
One of my favorite pictures ever is from last year's Ooh La La Lucha, where there's a woman in the front row flipping me off and me flipping her off at the same time. And the camera just caught it, a golden moment. But it's one of those things where I think most wrestling fans, you know, a lot of times they know what they're getting into. And a lot of times, you know, they play along, they boo the heel, cheer the face or whatever. But after a certain amount of time, there's a certain respect that either grows or declines. For example, if you're fed, you know, if you're told that this guy's the best wrestler and he's going out there and he's not having the best matches, after 6 months or a year, you're not going to cheer for him the way that you did when you were, you know, introduced to him. It's the exact opposite with a heel, which is what's, you know, luckily, in my opinion, I think's been happening. You know, people have been sold Sam Adonis is a great heel. He's a bad guy. You're going to hate him. And they see it and they hate it. But after the year of performances and seeing what I do, eventually they develop a respect and say, you know what, that guy's actually pretty good. I'm going to cheer him. So, you know, since I've come back to the United States about 2 years ago, it seems like I'm kind of teetering more towards babyface. And especially since my home promotion, if you will, my bread and butter here in Pittsburgh is basically, you know, my friends and family. That kind of seems to be taking over a bit of who I am and what I'm becoming. And in a weird way, I never thought I would have said this 3 years ago, but I think I'm kind of, you know, more of a baby face than a heel in 2020. But who knows?
So,
you never know what's
tell
going
us
to happen.
about that, man. You were talking about WrestleRex. For anybody that hasn't seen it yet, man, you guys been packing the shit out of that place in Pittsburgh, and you even had an appearance from our homie, the Frogun. So let us know a little bit about WrestleRex and let people know what they can see if they're in the Pittsburgh area and how that came about and how you turned promoter on us.
Well, it's really funny because, you know, I basically was out of the country for 7 years, and I came home to Pittsburgh. And all my friends and family, you know, their friends on Facebook and Instagram, everybody sees me and knows what I'm doing. And you see, holy crap, my buddy Sam's, he's famous in Mexico. This dude, he's going to Japan. Every time you hear about Sam Adonis, the wrestler, you think, you know, it's major league. Well, I was doing a lot of independents here in Pittsburgh that were just small-time independents. There was nothing exciting about it. You know, you can see me in Arena, Mexico in front of 10,000 people, and then you can see me in a high school gym at a local indie show. I hated that. I was ashamed to invite my friends and family to these shows, you know, because it was almost like degrading. So a lot of things lined up. The venue we have, the Rex Theater, the people involved, everything fell into place to basically say, you know what, Penta and Phoenix need to come to Pittsburgh. These are my brothers. I see them on the road all the time. They're my dudes. If they're coming to Pittsburgh, I got to be the one to bring them, because I'm not going to let some indie guy that's just, you know, paying their wage and just, you know, don't know anything about these guys. They're my boys. We decided to sort this out, put this show on, pack the house, and we've just been rolling ever since. The last one we did was a legit fire code sellout, which means, you know, we were told no more people in this building. So, you know, we're really on a high. Everything's as good as it can be up to this point. I really hope things are, you know, going to be lifted soon. As of right now, we have a date confirmed for May 28th, and I'm praying that we can get this off the ground, because the Rex Theater, which is actually a famous venue here in Pittsburgh, their staff's all been without work for the last month and a half. All their canceled. Everything's actually, you know, been canceled on their end, and they're hurting. So if we are able to get this show May 28th off the ground, we're going to do a benefit for the staff. We're going to make sure the building, you know, covers for some of their costs as they missed out on, and just move forward. But I'm full blown bit by the promoter bug. I love performing in my hometown. I love the crew we have. We've had a ton of great wrestlers in the door. We're using Mexican wrestlers. We're using Detroit's Frogun. We're also using Joe Doring. We'll definitely get Movado out there soon.
Hell yeah.
The nice thing is I'm actually out there on the streets, you know, collecting talent. I'm seeing guys in every corner of the world based on what I like about pro wrestling. And luckily, this is my vision. This is my baby, and I'm able to, you know, get some good stuff going. And, you know, Pittsburgh's actually really enjoying it. So we'll see where it goes.
So what is that aspect of, the whole promoting thing done for you? Because like you said you're out on the pavement, pounding it, trying to get all these guys, and you're handpicking the talent. Was that something for you, like with this being your show, were you real selective with who you want to bring in? And is it a weird thing for you being on the other side, being a guy that's in the ring?
Well, what people don't know is I was probably more on the promoting side than I was on the wrestling side when I was a young kid. My dad was a promoter on the indies. So from about 13 on, I was backstage promoting. That's what I did. Before I could lace up my boots, how do you be a part of the wrestling business? You learn, you put out posters, you study, you book, whatever. So I always had a pretty good vision and idea of what I like about wrestling. And the entire time I've been in the wrestling business and wrestling, I've always been learning the tricks of the trade. I've always asked the questions that most wrestlers don't even realize are questions. I've spent time working for Brian Dixon in England and, under CMLL Mexico, All Japan. I pay attention to little tricks and then, here and there, the promotion aspect, the wrestling business, if you will, I've always been fascinated by. And that's why, I've had 4 shows and at the point, 4 shows here in Pittsburgh at the Rex, but 4 shows in, we've made more, movement and noise than Pittsburgh wrestling made in the last, 20 years.
Deb, what you got for that? I can see you over there.
But so for someone that's not in the Pittsburgh area and wants to be able to check the show out, is there any online distribution or anything like that?
Yeah, we've done live streams. This last show we actually just released for free online. There's links. We've actually gone a different route because I think wrestling's so oversaturated. There's so many companies out there. It's really hard to be seen because you have to look for it. We just kind of simplified it and just went with a hashtag. Instead of having a website, instead of having all these social media platforms, hashtag WrestleRex. You look for it, you find it, you click on it, it's going to be there. The fans are getting involved. If you YouTube WrestleRex, it's there. It's all around. We have the links online, the live shows. It's one of those things because it's the first time that the first independent I've seen that I've been a part of where a completely third-party audience is getting involved. Most of the time, these independent shows, a lot of the fans come and film, and they want to be the one that captures the gift, and they want to be the one that, presents it to the wrestling world. This whole thing, it's not for the wrestling world. It's for Pittsburgh. So we have people that might not have any idea what AEW or CZW or Ring of Honor is. They know WWE and they know WrestleRex. It's kind of a local, you're almost thinking small to go big, if that makes sense. Instead of
like ECW all over again.
In a way, instead of taking over the world by going viral, let me just get Pittsburgh hot. That's all I want. I don't need to compete with any big independent wrestling company. I want to make sure my friends and family are having a blast once a month.
So we've got a question in the live feed for you. A guy that you probably may know, he's a photographer in the Detroit area, done some stuff in Mexico too, Jerry Vegana. He said, is Sam still tied to CMLL, and would he be open to working an indie show in Mexico with AAA, asking for a friend?
I would be totally down for working with AAA, but I don't think Conan likes me very much. We've had some miscommunications on some dates and just I don't think AAA would like to work with me, but I would love to work with AAA. I'm not affiliated with CMLL anymore. I live here in Pittsburgh full time. I work independence in the USA. I've been traveling for All Japan for the last year, so I'm down for anything. Again, I'm just I focus right now more on what I'm doing here in Pittsburgh. It's weird. I never thought I'd see that point, especially at 30 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm doing more than I've ever done in the wrestling ring. I'm enjoying it once again. And it's funny to think that, in a sense, I'm kind of just taking care of myself.
Hey, man, that's a good way to be. And I got a question that goes along with that, but we've got another question in the live feed. Geno Black, I don't know if it's Geno or Gino, don't know what the hell it is, but Geno Black, can you teach people how to wrestle?
No, I can't. If I can be totally honest, I think I'm more qualified to be a teacher than 99% of professional wrestling coaches, but I refuse to do it because I don't think I'm ready. I think too many people exploit pro wrestling. Professional wrestling doesn't owe anybody anything. And the quick fix is, I never made it. I'm not famous. I don't have any money. I'll open a wrestling school. I have never been more convinced that those who can't do teach than in pro wrestling. So yes, I could teach. Will I? No.
Hey, I can respect that. So my question for you is, you said that you're based out of Pittsburgh now. You're doing all your stuff out of Pittsburgh. What made you make the change? Was it just you wanted to be back around home more? Because I know you were doing stuff with All Japan and CMLL and all that. So what made you want to come back to the States full time?
I had to run away from my ex-girlfriend.
And I understand, because that's how I ended up in Texas. I'm joking.
You lying son of a bitch.
You know. The funny thing is, you know. And I hate to say
The
it.
question is, did she set your car on fire on the way out?
Honestly, if I wrote a book, it would probably become a Lifetime movie. I have my ex relationship was the most traumatic and screwed up situation ever. It's so screwed up that it probably wouldn't be believed. So let's leave it at that. I ran away from an ex-girlfriend, and that's 1,000% shoot.
I wish I had a shot of liquor. I'd take one with you, man, because I've been down the same path, brother.
Wait a minute. Devin doesn't have podcast juice around him? Holy shit.
I got some
water and tea.
He was ready. He's been out with Janelle and got the claws ready and shit. All right, so here's the question. Do you think you guys have probably seen the meme, since he's drinking White Claws, do you think that Stone Cold would really be disappointed if you were drinking White Claws? Or do you think he'd get down with him?
I think if White Claws were out 20 years ago, Stone Cold would have done it.
I wouldn't doubt it. So Jerry said to let you know, he said thanks. He's going to hit you up about that show he's talking about.
Oh, man, let me know.
Hey, but
I'm actually booked against Psycho Clown right now, tentatively on July 11th. So it's supposed to be Psycho Clown, which is Triple A's top babyface, against CMLL's top heel from last year. So if it happens, it'll be fun. But yeah, I'm down to work with anyone at any time. Yeah, you can't. There's a certain word that begins with P and rhymes with politics here in wrestling that you can't get past.
Well, that brings a good question. Tell me what your thoughts are on your match with Psycho Clown, being that I've been seeing a lot of him with MLW lately. So what's your thoughts on a match with him? I'm sure you may have already faced him before, but I know that he likes to get a little crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
I've never wrestled him. I'm good friends with both of his brothers, so I don't know. I think most of the shows I do in the United States against luchadors are actually like Mexican shows. They're not ran by American promoters. They're not foreign wrestling crowds. So it'll probably be the typical, I have my flag and, we beat each other up around the arena, and that's about it. So I'm excited for it. It'll be fun. We'll probably end up having beers afterwards, and that's basically how that's going to go.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. So fill me in on what you've been catching up on, because when we were talking via text ahead of this, you said you've been watching a lot of wrestling. We might as well start with the obvious. Did you watch WrestleMania, and what'd you think?
I watched night 1, and then I went to bed halfway through night 2, and that was just because I had to work in the morning. I thought that Undertaker thing was killer. That Undertaker and AJ Styles thing was probably the coolest thing WWE's done in forever. I don't watch wrestling. I don't know where to compare it, where the bar is. I don't envy any of those guys. It's so hard to wrestle in front of a quiet crowd. Everybody worked their asses off. Everybody did as good as they could. So, I just feel bad that some people had their one moment removed. One moment might have been, some of those people might never get that call again, and it just sucks to think that, I think that, what was that, what's that, the guy with the beard, the fat guy, Otis.
Otis.
Like that whole story.
That needed the crowd, dude.
That needed to be in front of 95 million people or whatever. So just, it sucks that it wasn't what it could be, but everybody worked hard, and, they're working their butts off, and I don't envy that position, but the show must go on, and everybody did the best they could. So good for them. But
hey, I gotta agree with you. Those were my two favorite things of the whole thing, and ironically, they were the things that were shot completely away from there. Were the Firefly Funhouse and the and the Boneyard match. To me, those were the two most entertaining ones. I mean, Edge
I
Norton.
didn't see the Cena thing. I didn't see that. I've been meaning to catch up on it, but I've been on this FMW kick from the 90s right now. And every time I have 30 minutes, I don't want to watch the WWE network. So
I hear you.
I've been watching some old Hayabusa and Mr. Ganisuke, Fuyuki, all that stuff. And I swear I watch more now than I have in the last 10 years, just because it's, I'm not getting my normal daily wrestling fix through my career. So watch tapes.
So you talking Hayabusa, man. That's my wheelhouse right there, man.
Oh, man, I lived and died by Hayabusa. When I was about 12 years old, he was my favorite wrestler. It went like this. ECW ruined my life because I loved it so much. And then I found Onita, which introduced me to FMW, which introduced me to Hayabusa. And then from Hayabusa, we went to Sasuke, Muda, Kabashi, all that stuff. But Onita was the first, Hayabusa was the second, and I was just smitten as a kid. So it's been so long. My taste has been so refined over the last 10 years, I forgot what I began enjoying. So now it's been nice at this point in time just to look back at these old tapes and watch and enjoy some classic wrestling from 95 to 2001.
Yeah, man, watching Hayabusa versus Rob Van Dam and Sabu. And I think he was tagging with – Hayabusa was tagging with Hakushi at the time.
Hakushi, yeah.
Known as Hakushi in the United States. Man, some of the best matches I've ever seen.
That's some nuts stuff, man. So I've been watching all that stuff, and I don't know. I just miss it so bad. It's killing me, man. You don't know what you've got until it's gone, and just traveling and having something to look forward to. I think that's what it is, I've got to the point where I was literally just diced. I had abs. I'm looking good, diet and exercise and everything, because next week's show is so important. I haven't had a next week's show in a month and a half. So, it's just a little bit hard. It's a little bit harder to take care of yourself, but sooner than later, everything will be back to normal, and we'll be looking back at this as that crazy moment in history.
Well, talk about that real quick. I mean, with us being on quarantine, what are you doing to keep yourself in shape? Or are you just slinging packages?
I don't know if you can see this right here.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I bought that. Yeah, that was $250. So it's here next to my bed, and I'm able to get a good workout in every day. I'm still in great shape. I'm just a little bit. The diet's been suffering a little bit, so I'm not as jacked as I was. But I'll get back soon, and it's just a matter of time. But you just train and you work, and you try not to get too upset, because if you worry too much, it'll kill you.
So that brings up the question of, you're talking about, having to work out and having to do the things like that. For you, like, how do you see, like, the effect, what do you think the effect that coronavirus is going to have both on the indies and on bigger promotions, like when you get out of this? Do you think it's something that the indies will be able to just pick right back up where they are?
Absolutely not. Everything's changed. Everything has changed. Everything has changed. There's so many people that have no idea how deep this is right now. There's so many guys that have been able to make a living for the last 2 or 3 years off the independents that will no longer be able to make a living, because the merchandise game is what makes the independent level thrive. People don't have that expendable income. Independent wrestling thrives off expendable income. Gone. People aren't coming back to pay for these shows right now when they have to pay for their bills and their food. That being said, a lot of independent wrestling promotions are ran on a shoestring budget. These budgets have been blown through in the past month. Half the independent wrestling companies will return. So that means there's half the bookings for the guys that need twice the money, which means all these guys are going to cut their rates in half. Everybody that needs their $300, $400, $500 are now going to be working for $75 to $100. They're all going to be getting full-time jobs. It's a different world right now. So good luck. Prove me wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I'm one of the guys in that position, but I think we're already too far gone.
And that's one of the things we kind of talked about before everything kind of started happening, is that I'm worried about the independents. Like, we were supposed to be in Tampa for Mania week, and we were going to go to a lot of the GCW shows and some of the Evolve shows. And those are some of the bigger independents, but even those guys, they're basically, that whole weekend is where GCW makes a lot of their money. So for the year, their biggest weekend is gone. So it's like, how do you recover from that, from now on?
Everything has changed. Like, I don't think people really realize the magnitude of the situation. I'm on Twitter just like you guys are. I think people think, oh, when things get back to normal. I really hope. That's all I can say.
So, and another thing we got to think about too is a lot of people are working from home now, right? So people are going to start getting used to that. Sports, they're going to be playing in front of empty arenas and stuff like that for a little while, and then they start trickling back. But are people really going to want to go out in public like that? Like this might be the new normal. It might just be, football games played in half empty stadiums from now on, or wrestling shows in empty arenas from now on.
It's absolutely insane. And if that's the case, again, I don't know. It upsets me to think about, because it does. But I'm pretty, in tune with what I think from what I've seen and what I know about, traveling cultures, economics, anything in between. It's just going to be different. I'm just hoping it gets back soon. I'm lucky in my sense. Like I said, if there's one thing I can take out of this, is I'm lucky. The foundation I've laid with my local wrestling product hasn't really relied too much on the outside. So who's to say? This almost kind of maybe evens the playing field a little bit. You're not going to have these powerhouse independents anymore. You're not going to have these people that are that this internet wrestling community. It might not be the same thing. This might be, they say history repeats itself. We might be at the beginning of the territorialization of pro wrestling once again. It might be too expensive, and there might not be the money coming in for these super shows in every city and to fly these guys here and there. You might just have local circuits popping back up, and local independent wrestling might become the new wrestling. Now that the WWE is doing what they're doing, that might just be the TV wrestling. And then, hey, locally, you have these small time shows where local guys do what they do. I don't know. It's really complicated. It's going to be a lot different, but I don't know.
Well, I think you've pretty much confirmed what we already know, and it's time to get out of the house. And before I ask you about the next question, if you need a house, check out the homies at Stransky & Company Realty. It can be done virtually right now. All the links to all their social media is on our website, ko3cpod.com. At Stransky & Company, all of our stuff's there. You can find them at 248-563-9449. And like I said, they're doing stuff virtually now. If you need a crib, this housing market's going to be a pain, so get you a crib. Had to throw that in there real quick. Stransky, I know you're listening.
Great job.
I promote wrestling shows. I know all about plugs.
Hey man, I gotta get it in where I can. But speaking of getting things in, man, one of your former opponents and past guest of our show has been throwing some shots.
Oh God, no! Is it Mavada?
Yes, he is. He's watching right now. He said, "Sam, such a punchable face."
Tell him he will be. Tell him he'll tag team with me in Pittsburgh, and we'll kick ass someday. So I don't hate him. I just like to embarrass him in front of his friends because I hate Detroit people.
Well, hold on. We're Detroit people.
I'm sorry. It was a natural reaction. I'm a heel. It's
Well, I'm in Texas right now, so I'll let you.
I actually really always love Detroit. I have fun over there. So tell Josh I'm just sad we can't do Ooh La La Lucha this year because I miss St. Andrews Hall and those hot dogs.
I was really hoping that you guys would do that show this year, man. I was really looking forward to it.
That's great, man. That's a great audience every time. That energy. Honestly, my wrestling promotion in Pittsburgh's kind of been a little bit inspired by St. Andrews Hall because we don't do chairs. We do the standing room only like Ooh La La does. And all these little elements came in, through my travels, and I decide what I like. And that's what we do. That's standing room only wrestling show from St. Andrews Hall is basically what WrestleRex is.
Sweet. Well, let me ask a question about CMLL real quick. I was having a conversation with someone, and something that I noticed is that if you look at pretty much every major promotion in the world right now, Los Ingobernables has someone there. So you saw Los Ingobernables, up close and personal, man. What is it about that crew that they're basically taking over the wrestling business right now?
It has nothing to do with what you see in the wrestling ring. Let's put it that way. it's just a group of brothers that has some fun outside the ring, and that's what. There's a lot of people that get invited in that club. They talk about the clique, or there's certain groups that hang out outside the ring, and Los Ingobernables is a group of friends that party, and it just so happens the reason you become a friend with anybody is because you have things in common. When you're 6 or 7 of the best wrestlers on the planet, whether you're friends or not, you're going to be the top of some wrestling companies. It just so happens they have some common ground, so they have a name behind it. But yeah, they're everywhere, man.
So we got another question for you in the live feed. It says, would Sam rather wrestle one Super Porky sized Caminito or 30 Caminito sized Super Porkies? Shit, I don't know what either of those are, but I'm sure you do.
Ugh. 30. I would say Caminito. I'd rather fight the Caminito size Super Porky for sure. It's a ridiculous question, but yeah, Super Porky was a little bit more violent and crazy than Caminito was. So I'd rather fight Caminito any day, but I've beat him up plenty in Mexico. But that little son of a gun is heavy. He's got the same amount of organs and muscle tissue as we do, but he's 2'9". So he's jumping off the top rope, and it's all compressed and compact. The dude weighs about 160 pounds. It's absurd. Heavy little bastard.
I was like, shit,
I've heard people talk about taking that tadpole splash from Swaggle, and they say it is stiff as hell.
I don't know. I've never taken that, but I've taken Caminito jumping off the top rope in Arena, Mexico, and it's pretty damn stiff.
So we talked about what we thought with the indies, and obviously there's been a lot of news today with since the XFL went down the hole and all that stuff. They've been talking about all the cuts and stuff like that. Like, what effect do you think that this will have on the bigger companies, man? With you still having your brother over there and all that, I mean, they just let go a shit ton of people today.
Everything's changed, man. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot of really talented guys that have been let go today, and some of us have been bitten by the wrestling bug for life, and some of us will prevail and be around in 30 years. Others will look at this as the writing on the wall to go find a new hobby and do something else. I don't wish anybody, any bad will. I hope all these guys can recover from this and find a job. But I know there's a lot of guys on that list that'll be top stars for years to come. So you just got to wait and ride it out. Hopefully WWE bounces back and does what they got to do. But it's definitely an interesting time to be a wrestler, and I don't know if it's a good interesting or a bad interesting, but it's interesting.
So
the funny thing is, like, now kind of the conversation among fans are, oh, well, now that Gallows and Anderson are gone, they can go to AEW, or this guy can go to TNA or Impact or whatever. It's like, are these companies going to have the money to be able to sign these guys right now? Because we don't know what's up next, man. So it's a lot of unanswered questions going on right now.
It's a scary time to be a pro wrestler, man. So we'll see where it goes, and I don't know. I'll be around forever, whether people like it or not. I'm too addicted to this shit. It's in my blood. It's I think it chose me. I didn't choose it. So we'll see.
Movado said to tell you that he wants to smoke. He said, "Let's run a tag team."
No comment.
So here's the question, man. Do you keep up at all with MMA?
No.
Damn it.
I did when I was more in MMA in 2001 than anybody in the United States was. And then I gave up on it because it became famous, and I'm antisocial. I get pissed off when something becomes popular, so I gave up on it. But Pride in the early 2000s, and my dad found UFC when I was like 5 years old, so I was all in on that. But now it's too big, too much, and I just don't care.
Wait, so are you the guy that whenever you find a local band and they blow up and start, selling out Madison Square Garden, you don't want to listen to them anymore?
Probably. That
sounds like me too.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Well, speaking of bands, man, make sure you guys stay tuned if you guys are watching, because in 2 weeks we've got Zoltan Bathory from Five Finger Death Punch. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Make sure you guys are checking it out. We're going to be talking jiu-jitsu of all things, so it should be interesting. So, Dev, are you still in there?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, cool. I can hear it because on the screen. So I've got full disclosure. So I got the computer screen open. So on my computer screen, it looks like you guys are talking. On here, it don't. And I'm like, shit. Did my thing go out?
There's a time delay. There's a time delay, Kyle.
Yeah, you would think I would know that after doing that for 3 years, but shit. I just have to
look at the hard cam, Kyle. Look at the hard cam.
So you mentioned you growing up in Pittsburgh and with the ECW thing, man. Like, did you get to see any of the Dark Side of the Ring stuff?
Yeah, actually, that's my plans when I get off the phone with you. I got to go watch that snooker one with my dad.
Dude, that shit's wild. You're in for
no spoilers.
I won't. I promise I got you. So,
no, but my dad was actually a promoter growing up, so he took me to ECW when I was 7 years old. I was in the crowd at that. So I don't know if that warped me and made me the way that I am, but ECW was basically a big part of my childhood.
That's what's up, man. So the question with that, did you watch the New Jack one?
I did. I love Jack. That's my boy.
So give me your thoughts on that episode and a lot of the things that they kind of like unearthed with that, because I knew a lot of it, but then some of it I was like, damn, that shit was wild. Like with old boy at the indie show that he stabbed up, I'm like, damn, dude.
I love Jack. Jack is a true professional. Jack is a nice guy. The problem isn't New Jack. The problem is all the idiots in the wrestling business who shouldn't be around New Jack. If you have people that know what they're doing, professionals, New Jack will take care of them. New Jack will do the job, do what he needs to do. I don't think New Jack's the problem as much as the whole wrestling is for everyone movement. That's the problem.
Hey, I can respect that because, it just seemed like, and then the crazy thing is when they showed like the little reenactment where they're in the jail and they're like, so if we go on a run and we do this, I'm like, man, if he does it again, he's probably going to stab your ass up because he got locked up for it.
I thought it was great. Good dude. I don't mind him. I was actually trying to get him at the last WrestleRex show, but he had an ankle surgery. He's got pins in his ankle, so he couldn't do it.
Gotcha. Dev, you got anything else?
Man, so when you're booking these WrestleRex shows, man, are you basically looking for talent that has a name or people in the Pittsburgh, that Philadelphia, Midwest area that are kind of up and coming?
I want to create a wrestling show that is for people that don't like wrestling. I want non-wrestling fans to come to a show and say, I don't really like wrestling, but damn, that was cool. Because I know wrestling fans will be there either way. Okay. Why would I try to make 100 people happy that are going to complain about it either way? I'd rather make 1,000 people happy that wouldn't care, because those 100 people are still going to be there and complain about it on the internet. So I find these guys somewhere across the country and I can say, hey, let's put on a show that's going to blow people's minds. I want everyone in Pittsburgh to know, hey, there's WWE, and then we have that Pittsburgh wrestling, WrestleRex. That's all it is, man.
Hey, Dev, I say whenever this shit ends and they run the next WrestleRex, I say eventually we need to make a run to Pittsburgh, bro.
I'm always down. I gotta go to a Steelers game, man.
Screw the Steelers. You come to WrestleRex. You guys come to WrestleRex. You be my guest, and I'm sure you'll get a couple good interviews out of it.
Hey, man, I'm with it because I was gonna link up with you in Chicago at Warrior Wrestling. It just I wasn't there, just me that time, so I couldn't go from like show to show to show in that one.
No big deal, my brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate what you guys do for me. I'm always here around. It's been nice catching up with you guys. So I appreciate you contacting me. And whenever you're ready to do this, you let me know.
Hey, man, I'm down whenever. Like I said, when you guys get the next WrestleRex show going, man, I'm definitely down to check that out. Like I said, man, like that's been the one thing that's cool for us. Like it's definitely not on the same scale, as what you're doing. But like last year, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm missing from like us, with this whole coronavirus thing is like last year, man, we went to I went to Chicago and worked StarCast 3. We were in Baltimore and worked StarCast 4. And, you know, just traveling all over the place, Mania in New York and shit like that, man. Like, I never realized, like, how much I took for granted just being able to have the ability to do exactly what you just said. Go to these events, do these interviews, do all that stuff. And it was like, it was such a bummer, too, because we were talking about it with Kel Dansby, which if you didn't catch the episode, you can check it out on our YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff from ESPN Boxing. But they're the people that were doing the Wrestling with Stereotypes that was there. And we were talking with him about it, and it's like, damn, dude, like just having the ability to go and work some of these events and go out and check some of this shit out, that more than anything, man, I'm not taking for granted the ability to be able to go do some shit, because the fact that you can't right now is crazy.
Well, dude, I was complaining a lot because I all of the promoters have to buy my flights. So I don't really get to collect as many air miles as you'd think because it's split amongst 7 different airlines. This past year, I was burnt out. I hated airports. I was to the point where I'm like, screw this. I don't want to fly. I was turning into a bit of a diva, but it's actually nice, you know, for this to kind of humble me a little bit because I'm thinking,
at least you have somewhere to fly.
I get to travel the world, you know, on someone else's dime. So it definitely put things in perspective. It's a hard time for everybody. Things will get back to normal. I don't know what normal is going to be as far as wrestling goes, but, you know, you just got to surround yourself with positive people, stay happy, you know, and we will get through this. You know, things might be different on the other side, but life goes on, and it is what it is.
So before I let you get out of here, since I know you said you watched Dark Side of the Ring, if Sam Adonis were to be in the Brawl for All, how does he fare?
Oh, let me think. Let's think. A better question would be who would he get? Who would beat him? Let's put it that way. Shit, I wouldn't have made it out round 1. This is 2001. There was no wellness policy in 2001, man. Everybody was gassed off the gills. I'd have had 3 of my teeth in the second row. My ear would have been on the ground, you know. Different time, different place. But no, that was a hell of an episode.
Hey, Sam,
that's me, though. It bums me out because I'm a big Dr. Death fan. To know that we could have had Austin and Dr. Death if it wasn't for goddamn Bart Gunn.
Well, not even Bart Gunn. What do you think about with the whole Dr. Death thing with that? What did you think about what they said about Russo's reasoning for even making the damn thing, first of all, and the fact that because of that, that's how Dr. Death tore his quad?
It's nuts. Russo's actually a buddy of mine, so I can't really
I don't mean it like talking shit. I just wondered what your thoughts are.
It's absurd. He's out of his mind. But again, I don't think I need to be the one to tell you that. So the whole thing was nuts. But it is what it is.
Well, last question for me. You talking about how you like a lot of the older wrestling, and there's a newer promotion out, NWA Power, that I really enjoy. They do more of the old style of wrestling. Do you watch NWA Power at all, or what's the chances of Sam Adonis?
I've seen a few episodes. Nick Aldis is a good dude. I wish him the best. They're doing really good stuff. It's cool. It's different. It's a different pace. It's the change people need. And honestly, you never know. This whole situation could have kind of evened the playing field, because right now, you know, they've been doing the free studio tapings for months now. You know, now when it comes to small crowd wrestling shows in front of a TV camera, they might have a competitive edge over the other guys. So who knows? Everything's shaken up right now. I don't know what's going where and what to pay attention to, but until then, I still watch my obscure wrestling from the 70s and 80s. So,
hey, just because we like to start shit here, since we're talking about the NWA, I think if it ever happens, I say we see Sam Adonis against past guests of the show that we just had. How about you go take you a shot at the TV title with old outlandish Zicky Dice?
I've never met the guy. I've seen pictures of him. I've never seen him wrestle. He looks interesting, which is, I guess, 90% of the battle. But
he looks like Joe Exotic.
I don't know anything about him. I wish him the best. Good luck. I don't know. I don't even have a comment. I can't say good or bad things. I can't make a joke. I don't know anything about him. But yep, cool. Good for him.
I just figure with your guys' two characters, that shit's got money written on it, man. But with that be, I mean, if you need to check them out, check out our interview with them.
We'll take your word for it. If you probably know the game better than I do at this point, because like I said, everything I watch is there's everything I watch is before 2001, and then there's about 20% of things I watch after 2001. So I'm just lost in a time capsule, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
All right, my last question for you before I let you out of here. Does Sam Adonis get down on the video games, bro?
No, don't know anything about it. Bro,
not even like Tetris or like Big Dog or anything like that, man. Centipede.
I have lived a rock star life all over the country, and I've lived in Mexico for 2 years, and I just usually when I have a few extra hours to kill, the last thing I want to do is be in front of a computer game. So I'm sorry if that's your jam, but that's not mine.
Hey man, I had to check it out because Shane Taylor just jumped in the show for a little second. And
I love Shane Taylor. That's my favorite. That's my brother. I love you, Shane.
Hey, Shane and I have been tearing shit up over there on that war zone, picking up these W's. I was gonna say, if we need a third, we need to bring old El Rudo de las Chicas with us, bro.
I can't do it, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm too busy watching Tenryu kick the shit out of someone in 1982.
It's probably more entertaining than what we're doing anyway, but hell, figured I'd throw it out there. But either way, man, we appreciate your time again. Throw out your social media one more time, and we'll definitely see you back here on the show, or hell, maybe at WrestleRex.
You better get the WrestleRex. It's Real Sam Adonis on Instagram and Twitter. Reach out when you can. Pay attention if you can. If you don't, enjoy yourself. Do what you do. Stay positive through all this COVID-19 crap. We will get through this. We'll be better off because of it. But it's up to everybody. Stay strong, and I appreciate you guys. Be in touch. I will talk to you soon, all right?
Yes, sir, brother.
Thanks a lot,
Stay
man.
safe.
Appreciate you.
Later, brother. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Well, Deb, Sam Adonis, man.
Yes, sir. Sam freaking Adonis.
Well,
Dad,
at least
I really wish Ulala was going on, man, because I might have would have came back up to Detroit for that, man.
I would have been disappointed at you if you didn't, because that was a hell of a time last year.
Especially if Queen Amanada was on the show, I would definitely been there for that.
So when are you going to quit bullshitting and just shoot your shot?
What are you talking about, man? I just think she is a very, very, very talented wrestler, and I enjoy watching her in the ring doing her thing.
Okay, but okay, we'll go with that.
Look. Put it like this. If what you're alluding to was true, I would have already signed up for her Patreon page at like the highest level, and I have not done that. So bam.
That we know of. That we know of.
I'm telling you, it hasn't happened yet, but it hasn't happened.
All right, so here's the thing. Before we get out of here, I want to hear your quick thoughts on this mass release that we had today. And
well, Cal, you know what? You know what? If you want to hear my thoughts, you can go back on our page and watch the Facebook Live that I did.
I saw it, and you can go check it out there.
But no, like real quick, man. this ain't good. And like I said, I was talking with Sam. I was saying like people saying, like, oh well, Gallows and Anderson go to AEW now. This guy can go here. Like, dude, if WWE is letting these people go, what you got to remember, they were signing people to keep them from going other places. So if they're letting these people go now, that lets you know this is getting tight. So if they're letting people go, how are these other companies going to be able to sign some of these people too, man? So it's like basically the world is on pause. Do you see it affecting?
But is it really going to affect the other companies like that? Because now that we know that some of WWE money was kind of, involved with the XFL and stuff like that, and that's probably got part to do with it. Do you think it's going to hit them as hard when you've got like Impact has still got TV in the can like that? Ring of Honor, has got their
think about this. WWE, their biggest show of the year is WrestleMania, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't really make any money off of that. So that's money they don't have. If WWE is having to tighten their budget and they have all the money in the wrestling world, Impact is going to have to tighten their budget. They're not going to have money from their live shows. Ring of Honor, they're more of a touring company. They're not making money from their shows. AEW, they're not making money from the live shows. They still have a TV deal, so AEW be a little bit, better off. But your Ring of Honors, your dude, I'm supposed to be going to Atlanta this weekend for the Crockett Cup. I got canceled. That was money they were supposed to be bringing in. So if WWE is tightening their purse strings right now, it's got to be affecting the other ones too.
I wouldn't doubt it. And before we get out of here, I mean, for me, man, I'm not surprised that we saw the names go. I was surprised at some of the names that went, but I wasn't surprised we saw some names go.
I was surprised. Rusev was the one that surprised me, man.
Yeah, dude, especially with Lana not going with him. I was like, ooh, wow, that's interesting.
But she's on TV, and
right for now. But if you're not watching Raw, right? But you're not watching Raw. I feel like she's not going to be with Lashley much longer. But and I mean, quickly before we get out of here, I mean, it looks like the UFC's taking another run. Do you think it happens this time?
I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, I'm with you.
I'm not even wasting my time anymore, man. Just unless if it doesn't happen in Florida, it ain't happening.
I mean, that's and shout out to Smitty from Breaking Down the Ring. Smitty says that the one that surprised him was Kurt Angle. I think Kurt was already kind of on his way out anyway.
Mike Chioda might be the one that surprised me, man. The most.
That one got me. Got me.
Mike Chioda? Finley? Lance
what about
Storm?
Hurricane? They just brought him back.
Hurricane? Man. Like I said on my live, wrestling fans, we live in like a bubble, so we might think this coronavirus thing ain't serious. The fact that they're letting go all these people lets you know you got to take this serious. But we got to wrap this up, brother.
Hey, man. Like we said, make sure you're checking out our YouTube, Facebook, all the places you can find us at ko3cpod.com. You get a full backlog of all of our episodes. Make sure you tune in next week as we have the return of the American Kaiju, Lindsay Snow. We're going to be talking Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. We'll be talking about what she's doing in quarantine training, all that good stuff. You can find her at Kaiju Power. Make sure you're following us at ko3cpod.com. And yeah, Devin, we know you've got a spot open for that tattoo.
No, man. No.
Hey, man, make sure you're checking us out. Make sure you're checking us out, YouTube, all that stuff. And until next time, peace.
That's my lie.
Well, I stole your shit too, since you guys like to steal my shit all the time and fuck your couch.